We share. Oh, take a ride with me.
My name is Lamech, but people call me Lamech, and it's acceptable by me. I was born to a family of nine children, but three died, one at infancy, one neonatal age, the other one teenage age, and one in adulthood. So 5 of us are still alive. I'm the firstborn of my family. My father died in 2009, Lamech Nabasu. My mother is still alive, Lamech Nabasu. At the age of 2, my parents relocated. They moved to Nasarawa State, a village called Akuni Amawa, where you see Amo people. It's really a village, a remote village, away from Lafia. All right, so I grew up there from the age of 2 and did my primary school there. I attended a primary school far away from that village, so I had to trek every day, like 7 kilometers, to get to the primary school. So the motivation to go to school was, it came from a sister, that is a cousin of mine who was already grown up. She was in primary 6. So she just motivated me spontaneously and said, okay, get up, let's go to school. You know, as if it was a planned thing. So I followed her and we went to school. That was the beginning of my school attendance. So continued every day trekking. I was fatigued at some point, but of course there was nothing I could do because I later picked interest in continuing education. So later, my younger ones joined me after a year or so. They joined me, and then we continued until I finished primary school there in a village called Ashangwa. So it was a little bit distant from where we were living. Okay, now when I finished primary school, my father immediately took me to Katako, that's off Jingri, to begin secondary education, and I started. When I was just barely completing the first term of my JS1, the news came up that I passed my common entrance exam and I was posted to a science school. So my father, being a farmer, and my mother didn't know much about all this, whether to remove me from that school and take me to the science school, that was science school Lafia, or not. So he was advised to take me, to go and remove me from Katako and take me to Lafia. Okay, so he listened to the advice and I did the same. When I started in science school Lafia, it was like hell because it was a boarding school, just beginning, starting JS1 all over again, even though it was just the first time I finished in Katako. So I started JSS1 there. It was like hell because of, the rigors of going through, those little intricacies in the relationship with seniors and, colleagues and mates rather. So I then told my parents that I'm not going to continue there because of the suffering. Number one, punishments, hunger, food was always not there because it's a government school, and we were fed with things I wasn't used to. So, but after some time, I got used to it and I continued. They were even making jest of me and even teasing me, telling me I should, but that was when I had already gotten used to, the life there in the new school. So they tried to tease me, won't you go back to Katako? As I earlier on told them I wanted to. So I told them no. Before then, why the motivation for taking me there, why my father listened to the advice, was the fact that somebody told them, one Idoma man that was living with them, he told him that school is far better than the school I am currently. That's GSS Katako. Why? Because it's a science school, and once you finish from science school, you have a high propensity to go and study science courses like medicine, pharmacy, and all that, engineering. And that was how my father, when he just had medicine, he went and took me from Katako. So life continued there. So after my JS1, JS2, JS3, 4, 5, I got to SS3, almost graduating. I don't know what came upon me. Well, I have to say this one. There was a time I felt sick in school when I was in SS3. My cousin was working in the General Hospital in Lafia. His name is Lamech Nabasu. He came to the school. I told him I had to go. There was no GSM then, so I had to find a way of sending a message to let him know that I'm not feeling fine. I felt like I was going to die because I couldn't breathe. I was coughing, fever. I couldn't breathe. So when before I sent the message to him, there was a school clinic where they started first aid. They gave me, some medication, but I wasn't improving. I was getting worse. So when things got worse, it was at that point I sent a message. I said, I'm not fine. It's like I'm going to die. I couldn't breathe. So when he came, I had to go and meet him rather. So they took me from school to go and meet him in the school. So he immediately went and looked for the doctor on call. When the doctor on call came, he examined me, just came with this thing called stethoscope that doctors use, Okay, he examined me, put the stethoscope on my chest, so I was amazed. When he finished, he now went and wrote some things. He was just writing. When he finished writing, before I knew it, drugs. The nurses brought plenty drugs and kept by my side. So I was admitted. That was the first time I was admitted in the hospital, and the last. I've not been admitted since then. So he brought the medication. They started. I just stayed there for a night. When they started the first injection, second injection, I started breathing. So I started wondering, what did this man do? What did he hear in my chest? What did he? I became curious. It was at that point, the story, what my father thought of me being a doctor, I also started thinking in the same line. I said, I have to go and study this thing and let me know what this thing is all about, so that I'll also help others, because I was almost dying. Just mere fact that somebody came and examined me, and then I was fine. The next day I was discharged. I was surprised. So that was what fascinated me, and I made it upon myself. I promised myself that I have to work hard. I want to study medicine. With God by my side, I want to study medicine. So when I finished secondary school, I came to, I secured admission after applying in the University of Jos. Went through remedial, and then lo and behold, I was admitted into medicine. So like joke. And I continued, studied medicine, and in the process, it wasn't a smooth path. Just like my primary school days and my secondary school days, I didn't tell you much about the encounters, the sufferings I had in primary school. If I say I want to do that, I don't think we'll finish this discussion early enough. So I went through a lot, both primary school, secondary school, and when I came to the university, of course, my siblings also, finished from school, secondary school. One by one, they started gaining admission to the university when I had gone far in school. So they started coming. So resources were limited. So, and that was, we put a lot of strain on the little resources my parents had, but they tried. They denied themselves all the pleasures of this life. They, did everything to see that we went to school. But at some point, people started helping, and thank God, I'm here. I graduated as a doctor and proceeded to for my NYSC, housemanship first in NYSC, and then I went to work with missions. That was in 2005. I graduated in 2003. For the first year, 2004, 2003, 2004, housemanship. Then I proceeded NYSC. 2005, I came to Jingri, started working there. I worked for a number of years till 2003, 2010. I started residency, that's our postgraduate training to become a specialist. And thank God, to the glory of God, today I'm a surgeon. Specifically, I'm a urological surgeon. So I had my training at the Jos University Teaching Hospital where I was born. And of course, undergraduate training was the same place where I was born. So the whole story is interesting to me, and I give glory to God that it happened like this. And at the end of the day, I achieved what I wanted to achieve in life. But the unfortunate thing is, my father is not alive to see all these things. Even though I graduated before he died in 2009, I was already working in Jingri when he died. But he didn't live long enough to see, to reap the benefit of at least to see what he has done in life, what he has achieved by, training us and all that. So, I mentioned that the resources were scarce. I used to carry things like gari, things like tamba, beans, yam, inside one metal box. I don't know if you know it. One big metal box. And I'll lock everything inside. With my clothes inside. My clothes are inside, the food is, everything is inside. Just compartmentalized inside the box. Everything is packaged inside. But by the time you get there, senior students will, bully you. Most times they used to bully us and collect those things. So because of fear, you have to open up and say, you have this, you have that, and give them. And I also mentioned that hunger, this thing was not allowed though. Taking this food stuff to school wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed because it was a boarding school. They used to cook for us, but the food was not just enough to sustain life there. And that's why I lost weight. By the time I went back home on vacation the first time, after the first time, my parents, especially my grandmother, it was my grandmother who said I should never go back there because she doesn't like what she's seeing. I lost weight. I was not just myself. I changed form completely. There was a time my mother and my uncle's wife came to school to look for me. I passed by them like this. They didn't recognize me. So it was after that I started taking some things. But even with that, senior students they used to bully us, like I said, they bully and collect those things. So I felt like just dropping out. First of all, I said, I'm going back to Katako. I'm going back to Katako. My father refused. I went back. I protested. I went home. It was after when we were supposed to resume. I refused to go. My father said I should prepare. Let's go. School has resumed. I refused to go. I stayed at home for 2-3 weeks. He cajoled me, continued to cajole me. He said, it's not taking me back to Katako. This school is better than that one. So after some time, with reluctance, I agreed, and I just followed him like a lamb going to be to be slaughtered. We went there, went to school, and it was like hell going back there again. After the back and forth, at the point of getting to SS1, that was when I became stronger, and I got used to, the environment. It's not as if things changed. I just got used to the suffering, like military barracks. Okay. Some incidents I can't finish. There are some specific incidents I can mention. They used to wake us up around 4 or 5 for sanitation, to sweep the compound, to do everything. So I was a day I slept off because of fatigue. The previous day, that was how we worked. I slept off. So when they blew the whistle for us to wake up and perform our duties, I didn't even hear the whistle. Some seniors came with koboko, 2 of them, one on this side, one on the other side. They were flogging me. I used to sleep on, it was double bunk, so I used to sleep on the upper one. So they came and they were flogging me as if they were threshing something on the corn on the floor, flogging and flogging and flogging. So if I tried to drop on this side, the other one will flog. If I tried to do this side, it will flog. That's how it continued until I finally escaped and started running. They followed me. So incidents like that. There's a time I also got hungry. Not once, not twice. So we went to, there was an orchard behind the school, a very big orchard. So I went there with my senior, No, Yola, Megamo. So that was one luck I had that now cushioned the effect when I got to know them, No, Yola, and a few others. So they tried to, protect me from those difficulties. So we went home. Both of us were hungry. We went towards the orchard, mangoes, cashew, and all that. We'll just be taking them. And we saw cassava, a cassava farm. That's what we used to do. We just see a farm and start, eating whatever is there. We don't care. The owners of the farm used to come once in a while. They will catch some of us and flog. But anyway, once we escape, we will do the same next time. Once we are hungry, the fear will just go. So we got there. I roasted cassava inside somebody's farm. I had the guts to stay there to roast the cassava. And after roasting, I ate it. I didn't know it was a poisonous one. Again, when I got back to the hostel, I almost died. Abdominal pain. I don't know how he left me. On that occasion, I wasn't taken to the hospital. Before daybreak, the pain, I thought I was going to die. Severe abdominal pain. But God saved me from that. So many incidents like that. Hunger. It was the main highlights of the story is hunger, and also scarce resources to take care of ourselves. I almost gave up. And then one day, this tamba, it's called finger millet in English. So I had it in my box. Something just told me that why not try to cook this thing? I didn't know. I was a child then. So I just put it in the pot, stove, lighted my stove and started cooking. That never got done. Never. I cook. It was at that point I knew that you couldn't cook finger millet and eat like that. You have to grind it before you're able to use it for anything, to prepare porridge and all that. So it was at that point I knew. When we discovered it wasn't done, we took it, and washed it again, added sugar, thinking that we were able to, but we ate it like that because of hunger. Like I said, the incidents are many. I have incidents in primary school, incidents in secondary school, incidents in university. Some of the incidents in university, when I got admission, started remedial, I first stayed with my uncle, of blessed memory, former commissioner. Nabasu. I stayed with him for almost the whole period of my remedial studies. So, but it was very obvious that I needed to find a place close to the university because we used to trek. I used to trek from Alheri, pass through Laranto, climb that rock, Angwarogo, and then to the university every day. I used to trek. There was nothing like breakfast money, lunch money, or anything. I would trek like that with nothing in the pocket, go and study, nothing in the pocket, eat nothing, and come back home. Because he was also in school and he had children already. He had already completed the family side before he went for his degree program and later master's program. And so all of us used to trek together to school. So when I decided to move to Angwarogo, close to that's just behind the university, of course there was no money to buy anything, no money to buy a mattress, no money. I went and joined my friends in their room. We were 4 in the room, one small room like the 4 of us. Everybody had his own small mattress, small corner. But I didn't have money to buy a mattress. I had to just carry one wrapper. It was on top of the wrapper, my uncle's wife's wrapper. So I used it, put on the floor, and then I was sleeping there. My reading table was that heavy box that I told you from secondary school. I brought the box from secondary school. My books were inside. So I would sit on the box like this, put my books on my lap and read till when I'm tired. That was how I studied. I didn't have a table and I didn't want to trouble anybody. So I continued to struggle like that until I got to the final. I wrote the final exam in REMS and I was posted to medicine. So many incidents. In primary school, like I said, another incident was, even though that one was a recurring decimal, like I told you, the school was far from our village, and there was an intervening river that water used to overflow the banks. So after the rains, as children, we will try, we will still make efforts to go to school. And once we got to the river, we will now discover the water, there's flooding, has overflowed the banks till maybe like a kilometer or so, away from the main river. We will still be making efforts to enter the water and get to the bridge. It was a locally made bridge. People in the village would just gather themselves, get woods and construct a bridge. So there was a time it happened and we insisted like that, got close to the river. But we couldn't risk going, to the bridge because something will happen. One of us, he's still alive today. He has 2 wives. He was, taken up by the water. And that's how we stood and we were watching. Some of us started running back. We were watching. He started going and met a shrub. He couldn't swim. We couldn't swim. That was when we learned how to swim. He just saw a shrub and held it. When he held the shrub, lo and behold, there was a snake on top. A big snake that was just looking at him. He started screaming and screaming and screaming. There was somebody among us who was big. He was older than us, a thief boy. He was older and he could swim very well. So he swam to the place and got him off the shrub. That's how he rescued him. He's still alive. So such a thing happened. It happened recurrently. So sometimes when I'm gisting with my friends, I will tell them, this thing, what happened to me, I can't even count the incidents. What happened to me when I was in primary school and up to the university, especially in primary school, I will tell them that probably I wouldn't have been alive today. I wouldn't have been alive. I would have died since because of the things that happened. But God, helping us and pushing us through, and it's saved us. There are people who did not smell a little of this, even a quarter of all these things that we passed through, but they are not alive today. Something just took their life. So I thank God I still survived it, and I here I am. When I was in Jingri, so that was when I met my wife. I didn't know her before. I went for, I was still in training, undergraduate. So I just saw her. We started like joke, ups and downs. By the end of the day, we got along and we got married in 2008, February. And thank God we have 3 children. The first one female, second one a male, and the third one female. The first one is currently in secondary school. The last 2, one is in nursery school, the other one in primary school. I'm sure people listening to me will have similar stories, I'm sure. And some people have not encountered, this path, a similar path like me. But I just want to use this medium to encourage younger ones coming from behind that whatever you want to achieve in life, you work towards it. Pray to God. Don't just sleep. Don't relax and say you are praying. God will help you when you sit up, when you put effort to do what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve in life. So that is my candid advice to the young ones. It is almost always, let me say, it is possible to get what you want when you have the 2 things. You plead with God to assist you, to help you, and on your own you put effort to do what you need to do to achieve that. So thank God, today I am working in Abuja, at a hospital in Abuja, and currently I can say I give glory to God because He has given me all that I need in life, myself. And my inspiration is when I see myself trying to help, people that are close to me, and so that, we will see how their dream can also be achieved, like mine. Okay, thank God for everything.